right. We are going to start with our post-race press conference here for today's Bank of America ROVAL 400. We've now been joined by our winning crew chief for today's event, which is Adam Stevens. Congratulations, Adam, on that win.
Thanks.
A little bit of a walk-off win there for your team. We will go ahead and roll into questions. If you have one for Adam, raise your hand. We'll get you the mic, and we're going to start here in the middle with Lee Spencer.
Congratulations. Can you talk a little bit about the decision to make that stop for tires there at the end? I mean, was that kind of like your do or die moment?
Sure. I mean, really, if you look at it, the weekend as a whole, our road course stuff hasn't been where we needed it to be. We felt like we could come here and run 5th to 8th, and that's kind of the little gap we were in, and we needed a caution at the end. And you know, we had to do something different than the cars in front of us. And at the point that we couldn't restart on the front row, the motivation to stay was pretty small. We needed a win. So we had to do the opposite of what those guys were going to do. And had they come and got tires, we would have had to stay. We weren't going to pass them on equal tires. So thankfully, we didn't start too deep in the field, and Bell was able to get a tremendous restart and pass a bunch of cars before we got to the backstretch. So it was kind of a do or die moment, and Bell got up on the wheel and made it happen.
Can you talk about his level of heart and how much blue sky? I mean, you know, clearly you worked a long time with Kyle, but how much blue sky does this kid have ahead of him?
Well, that's a hard question to answer, because if it's just on pure talent and ambition and dedication, he can win as many races as he runs, because he has so much skill, and there's not a place we go that he's not capable of winning. And there's nothing that you ask of him that is delayed or out of reach or something that he doesn't want to do if it means getting better. So the sky is definitely the limit. You know, he's young. He's getting better at a tremendous rate. He's already extremely good, and you can't hide the talent that he has. I think just race reps and understanding who he's racing and race craft, and then you know, frankly, us getting our program better and strengthening our weaknesses as a company and as a team, and just us, you know, getting more reps and communicating more together. I mean, I think that's a large part why we've been wholesale better this year, is just we have some experience with each other, and we figured out what he needs in his cars, and figured out magnitudes of those changes just by blunt force and doing it.
Sorry, additional questions? Okay, we're going to go to Steve, and then we'll come over here to Dustin, Mike, and Trent.
Steve Conway, the podium finish. Adam, even though it's a road course win, going into the next round, what do you feel momentum-wise? Where do you guys feel that you may have strength and weaknesses to try to move on to that championship round in Phoenix?
Well, there's a tremendous amount of momentum, because we were dead in the water until just a few laps to go there. So, and we did everything that we needed to do and planned to do today, and performed to the ability of our equipment and our setups. So as a team, we did a good job, and Bell did an exceptional job staying under his tires and just getting what the car had in it, and then getting up on the wheel when we had that tire advantage. So we feel really good about that. Those 5 bonus points are good. I haven't had a chance to look at who's in and who's out and where they stand and all of that. But our intermediate stuff's been really strong. There's no reason why we can't go to Vegas and win. You know, Homestead is the best thing we have to compare is probably Darlington. Bell got some laps there testing, and they were halfway decent. We should have something decent to unload with. I think we can make that better and run well there. You know, Martinsville, that will be the struggle point for sure. But if we can go run solid top 5 and get stage points and threaten for a win in the first 2, I think we can be enough of a factor to squeak through this round.
Okay, we're going to go to Dustin and Mike.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Adam, I'm curious, obviously your previous experiences, championships, they've been you've gone through various struggles and various challenges, and I'm curious, not necessarily to compare with that, but what you had to go through this season. And you guys start off, I think, with more top 20 finishes are worse than 20th and top 10s the first 10, 12 races. You changed your pit crews a lot of times. You weren't supposed to win on a road course because Toyota couldn't win on a road course and did that. It's just what this, I guess, journey to this point has been like this season.
Yeah, it's been something. You know, the first part of the year there, we fell all the way back to like 32nd in points, and it wasn't because we weren't running well. We just weren't finishing well, and that was quite a hole to climb out of, which started at COTA. And COTA, we had all those steering issues and still came back to finish third, you know. But it's been a lot of overcoming adversity this year, and you mentioned some struggles over the wall, and we've done our best as a company to improve that. We still have a ways to go, but it's a point of focus, and those guys we have are super dedicated and working hard to be their best. And they had a good day today, especially the last two stops. And I told Bell, you know, this week, and all of these championships, every one that I've been in, and making a run to get to that final race, you always have your skin of the teeth moment. And I haven't had one quite like we just had today, but there's been multiple times with KB and I. Gosh, I think we made it to the final race 4 or 5 or 6 times in a row. I don't even know. But 2 or 3 of those years, we barely got through one of the rounds. I remember Dover came down to a point one year. Martinsville came down to a couple points. So you always have those moments, and I think we just had ours, and hopefully this next round will set up well for us, and we can be a factor.
How was it to get through today? And I guess, is it, you know, just with the challenges, obviously it didn't look good, but obviously you run the full distance because you never know. But what was it like just getting to that point, and how desperate it looked?
Well, it was pure desperation. I mean, we came in here knowing that we needed to win, and knowing that we probably weren't going to have the speed to just drive by everybody and do it. So we talked about it. You know, we can run, if we do our jobs to the best of our abilities, we can run 4th to 7th, and what we need to do is put ourselves in the first couple rows on a late race restart. That's what we need to do, and anything can happen going into that first turn. And it was looking like we weren't going to get a caution, and we were just going to finish 7th or wherever we were running, and that would have been about what we would have expected, you know. So we did get that caution, and it got a little crazy, and we were forced to do something different than those leaders. And Bell, to his credit, just got up on the wheel and took advantage of those tires on that restart.
All right, hold on one second. Before we go to our next question, we have been joined by our race-winning owner, Coach Joe Gibbs. Coach, thank you for joining us. We'll now take questions for Adam and or Coach. If you have one, continue to raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. Go ahead, Mike.
Mike Embry, NBC Sports. Adam, obviously it's hard to pass here. Christopher made it look pretty easy there at the end. Obviously the tires were a big factor in that. But what did you see from him over those last couple of laps that wasn't there before?
Well, you know, I think that it's hard to describe how much of a grip advantage you have with 30 laps difference on tires. It's exceptional. So, you know, and we were able to make time when we had tires earlier in the race. So you can just press the braking zone so much harder, and your minimum speeds are so much higher. I mean, really, the guys in front of you just don't have a chance when that happens. But you can easily get bottled up, too. If they're 2 wide or 3 wide in front of you, you're not going anywhere. So you have to be aggressive and make those aggressive moves and get through there. And, you know, I think his dirt racing experience probably really helped that lap when on that first restart with the tires. There's just people everywhere, and you got to put your car where they're not, and you got to be aggressive, and that just suits him. It suits him to be coming from behind like that rather than trying to fend him off with old tires.
All right, we're going to go to Trent and then Kelly.
Hey, Trent with FrontStretch.com. You mentioned, you know, you're kind of like settling there, you know, before that last caution and kind of accepting that's where you guys were going to finish and everything. But once that happened, what is it like as a leader for that mental shift to switch from accepting, I guess, your fate and then having something like that to completely flip the switch to, oh, okay, we have a shot, we can do this, we can win this thing and make it?
I mean, that switch doesn't go off until the checkered flag really falls, to be honest. You're always asking yourself, what's the right move if this situation happens. That's what you're doing the entire time you're sitting there is prepping for the next situation that might unfold. And quite frankly, I think the field expected some more cautions today and different opportunities for strategy, and it just didn't shake out there till at the end. And we were certainly ready and had talked about these type scenarios prior to the race unfolding, and lo and behold, it just happened right there in front of us. But we certainly were not going to win. We weren't going to transfer from 7th or 8th with 4 or 5 to go with old tires in front of us. It just wasn't going to happen. So thankfully we got that caution and we were able to make something happen.
All right, Kelly, go ahead.
KellyCrandallRacer.com. Adam, after you put the tires on, it comes down, we end up having 2 more restarts. And he's, as you said, driving the wheels off it. You at that point are just a spectator. So what is it like to know that it's in his hands and watch how those final 2 restarts played out?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you are at that point. You're just watching, and you're not chit-chatting on the radio. You're letting him focus and letting the spotters do their jobs. And you're really anxious to see how those first couple corners go, because we saw a bunch of them in the wall down there in Chaos Corner, the turn 1 or whatever they call it. But it was pretty crazy. So he has to get through there, and there's nothing you can do to help him get through there. So you're just watching and hoping for the best. And with Christopher on a restart like that, with his experience and his skill level, that's the situations that he thrives in. So he's looking for those type of opportunities.
You also mentioned the skin of your teeth moments that are going to happen in the playoffs. After having an average finish of 4.0 in the first round, to even be in this position with how this round has gone, what has kind of that high to these lows and back up to a high again been like over these last 3 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, the low was Texas not going our way. We felt like we could go to Texas and be a factor for the win, and we didn't have a great practice day, but really righted the ship with our race setup, and we felt like we had good speed and balance to get up there and race for it, and just started blowing tires. And when that ended our day and we got out of there with 2 or 3 points, we knew we were in bad shape. Speedways haven't been too kind to us, and Talladega wasn't too kind to us. And we felt like being behind going into Talladega, that we had to go down there and race for points and try to close that gap, and it just didn't work out for us. Predictably, we've really struggled to finish as well. Even though we were started on the pole and had the number 1 stall, we couldn't turn that into any points either. So this round was going to be the hard round for us, and we knew it, and we probably made it a little bit harder than it could have been. If we'd have had a Texas like we expected and we're certainly capable of, we just would have had to come here and had a solid day, and we did have that solid day going. So we dropped the ball as a team at Texas, but we're able to pick it back up and hit a 3-pointer at the buzzer today.
All right, we're going to come up front to Greg. We'll go to the press box after that and then come back downstairs for some more questions. Go ahead, Greg.
What's going on with these toe links? It seems like they don't have a hard hit on the wall, and all of a sudden, there's a driver behind the wall with a freaking toe link. Is there something that's inherently, weaker than this? Is there a weak spot, or what's going on with it?
Well, I mean, I don't know how hard the 5-car hit today, if that's what you're referencing specifically.
Also the one.
Yeah, I don't know specifically. But the toe links are made to be the weakest link of the suspension. So you don't break everything else in the suspension. The toe links are cheap, cheap meaning they're the least expensive part. And we have had a design revision to the fronts or the rears. I think the rears, they made them a little bit thicker and a little bit stronger cross-section midway through the year. And maybe they need to make them a little bit stronger. But if you have a direct hit on a wheel, something's going to bend, and it's been that way for years. We just haven't had a toe link in the rear with a solid axle car. We have independent suspension on all 4 wheels now, and you see the rears bend more because the fronts are connected to the steering wheel, and if you take a shot in the wheel, it jerks the wheel out of your hands, right? And the rears are connected solidly, and if you take a shot in the wheel, it's going to bend something, and it bends the toe link.
Thank you. And Coach, talk about your emotions. I mean, he's got to be the game face, but you can be. What was it like watching those final laps, especially seeing Chris come up from nothing to winning?
The amazing thing was about the day, if you had picked a cutoff race for us that would have been the worst cutoff race. It would have been a road race. All of you guys know that. We've been off with that, worked extremely hard after every single one of them. But you would probably say for us, the Toyota camp, that would be the toughest thing for us to overcome. And I just think if there was a race that I've been a part of that was a total team effort, this certainly was it. The call that Adam made was just a great call. Took guts. Our pit crew are the young guys on that car, and they were after it. I always feel bad for everybody back at the shop, Coy and everybody that leads the operations group, because they don't get to experience the winner's circle, and we have so many people back there that pay such a big price for us. So I would say that, you know, it's just one of those things I love about sports is, hey, God bless us with a great day, and you wouldn't think that this would play out the way it played out, but I sure appreciate everybody and the teamwork and everything. I think it really showed that this sport is total teamwork. It takes everybody working together.
All right, we're going to go upstairs for a question to the press box.
Bruce Martin with Speed Sport. Adam, after 104 laps where the only cautions were for the 2 stage breaks, were you ever beginning to wonder if we'd see the caution?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, honestly, when we got through the first 2 stages, or the first stage and a half without a caution, it really affected our strategy for the final stage and what we were thinking was going to need to happen to put ourselves in position. And yeah, so we had to make a little bit of an audible early in stage 3, but it was wild. You know, it was odd that we didn't get one. Usually you see somebody put a couple tires in the grass on the exit of 4 or 5 and get into the barrier and have an issue, but not today. So kind of Talladega was strange that way too. Just didn't see the cautions that we all have come to expect. So I don't know if the tide's turning or those are just 2 anomalies, but we'll have to see when we get to Vegas.
And, Coach, was that a 2-minute offense, win in overtime, or a Hail Mary?
I think you got it. I think that's kind of what it was for me. And I always think, too, on a win like this and something like this that happens, that I think back to J.D. spent his whole life building our race team, and so I always think about him, and our whole family does. So big deal for us, very emotional, and just we love being a part of all this and getting a chance to compete against, you know, the best race teams and in the world. So it's a thrill when you get a chance to win something like this.
All right, Barry, go ahead.
Yeah, Barry Richmond, Piedmont Broadcasting Corporation, WAKG. Adam, with now continuing as a contending team for the championship, the obvious is that you go for wins each week, but does a strategy change? How does that change?
I think it's track to track. You know, certainly we came here thinking we weren't going to have race-winning speed, and we needed some circumstance and some opportunities to take advantage of, and thankfully we got some late in the race. We're going to go to Vegas, and we are going to have race-winning speed. We're going to go to Homestead, and we are going to have race-winning speed. So you're not going to have to do anything that's out of your immediate power to have a good weekend. You know, you're going to have to race the guys you're racing and maximize those weekends. You know, we'll sit down tomorrow and evaluate the points and evaluate who's still in and see what their strengths and weaknesses are too, and kind of predict what they can produce in these next 3 races and see how that lines up with what we think we can produce. You know, it's might not take a win for us to get out of this round. It depends on everybody's bonus point situation and how capable they are. But as a team, I know we're as capable as anyone at the first 2 races, and hopefully we can build enough of a gap where we can just go have a solid day at Martinsville.
And for Coach Gibbs, with the transition that things are going through now with veteran drivers exiting and younger up-and-coming drivers needing the direction and cultivation, just talk about what that process is going to continue looking like, especially moving into next year.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a process that pro teams go through. You know, you see it in the NFL when I was there. And you have the veteran guys that kind of lead and can certainly, if they've won big games and big races for you, you certainly lean on them. If you think about it, Christopher's been in our competition meetings with Martin Truex, Kyle Busch, and Denny Hamlin. And I think that's a huge learning thing for him and has really helped him. And, at some point, you do have younger guys coming. And I appreciate Toyota because they always have been a part of our game plan to really be looking in the future, who's out there, who's coming.
All right, we're going to go to Jenna.
We can hear you.
Jenna Fryer, Associated Press. Joe, it's been a tough couple weeks for NASCAR, and you've been involved in another sport. You had Dave Alpern represent you in the meeting this week. What's the path forward, do you think? And Dave presented a pretty dire picture saying that you guys are spending all your time fundraising instead of working on your business. So how dire of a situation is it right now?
Well, I think what which happens from time to time in sports, for sure. The ownership of the race teams are trying to look for a better way forward financially, and NASCAR certainly has all the things they have to do financially, talking about tracks and everything they have to do as far as promotion. So there comes a point where it comes to a point sometimes where it's negotiating and working together and solving the problems. And at some point, you always reach a conclusion. So I think that's kind of where we are.
Is there a conclusion that can be reached that is favorable to the teams?
I think there is. I think, common sense on both sides and looking at, a path forward financially. I think that definitely is something that we can do. I think it's people that really care, and they care about the sport. And so hopefully both sides will go after it and talk our way through this and work our way through it.
All right, we're going to come back up to Kelly for a follow-up.
Yeah, Adam, just one more. A win like this, it's very rare, I feel like, that a team, it's a walk-off win, right? Like, we always hear about, they have to win or they have to do this, but you guys had to win this race. Very rarely, it seems like, does that happen. So what does this do for the team? Is it a swagger thing? Does it boost the confidence back up, or does it not do that but send a message to the garage that we're still legitimate contenders?
Well, I think it might do a little bit more of that if we led all the laps and won both the stages. We performed to the level of our setups in our car today and took advantage of an opportunity, which is what we had to do and what we talked about our avenue to win. So I think what it does is, it lets people know that we don't have any quit in us. We came here to do a job and perform to the level and capability of our stuff, and we were able to do that. And Bell was able to, get up on the wheel when it mattered. But I think the garage has seen that out of Bell for a long period of time, so that didn't surprise anyone. But I think that the way that our cars have run and how we performed as a team at the intermediates really bodes well for us. And there were probably a lot of people that were hoping we were out of that next round.
All right, additional questions? All right, we're going to take one final question from Trent.
I asked Kyle after the race, if he had any tips or help for Christopher going into the next round, and he said he's got the best crew chief in the garage leading him, so he doesn't need his help. Joe, you mentioned a while ago about cultivating the young guys, but also having these older veterans for him to learn under. What kind of loss will that be for you next season without him being here?
Yeah, I've talked to Kyle and just told him really pulling for him and Sam and the family. And I want the rest of his racing career. This guy's going to win a bunch. We know that. He's a great competitor. And when you think about it with us, 15 years, that was awesome. And, you know, just really appreciate that so much. And we know Mars is leaving, but that was a thrill to be with them for that amount of time. And so I just think, you know, we worked hard at trying to get everything done there. We couldn't. And so I think he's found a home, and I'll be willing to bet he's gonna be after it next year, and he's gonna win a bunch of races.
All right. Joe, Adam, congratulations both on this win today, and we wish you the best of luck next week in Vegas.
Thanks, man.
All right, we're going to continue with our post-race press conference for today's Bank of America ROVAL 400. We've now been joined by our race-winning driver, Christopher Bell. Congratulations on that win, walk-off win. Tell us a little bit about those final laps before we go to questions.
Yeah, just, really mind-blowing. You know, I just, the whole race went green flag, and you know, I thought we were just kind of buying our time, waiting or getting to the end of the race, and I was running 7th or 8th, and a couple guys were closing on me, so I'm like, man, I just hope I can get out of here with the top 10 and focus on trying to, you know, race for 5th in the points. And then, the tides changed.
All right, we're going to take questions for Christopher. If you have one, raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you, and we'll start in the back with Barry.
Congratulations, Christopher. Barry Richmond, Piedmont Broadcasting Corporation, WAKG. I actually asked this of your crew chief. Going into the next few races, obviously the goal is to win, but how does that strategy change, or does it change now that you're continuing as a contender for the championship?
Yeah, I mean, I feel extremely good about what we have going on here in the next 3 races. So, you know, ever since the schedule laid out and we were looking at the playoffs, the round of 16 were all really good racetracks for us. The round of 8 were all really good racetracks for us. But then the round of 12 with Talladega and this racetrack in there, I was super concerned and nervous. And, you know, I still felt like we were going to be able to make it through it because we're really good at Texas, and we should be able to get through Texas with a good points day. But whenever we left there with a whopping 3 points, I was just really down in the dumps and sad. And then we went to Talladega, and we needed a home run. We needed a lot of points, and we didn't score a lot of points. And just, you know, this whole last 2 weeks, I had been extremely deflated and you know, just kind of down in the dumps. And now I can promise you I'm as excited as ever heading into these next 3 races.
All right, we're going to come up front to Matt.
Matt Weaver, Racing America. That was kind of the question I was going for about, you know, just being down in the dumps. I thought that was the case. But what does that even feel like, that transition from being so down to so up? Like, did you guys even think, because it's been well documented that Toyotas have really struggled on road courses, did you even allow yourself to think that this could be an option, no matter how good you've become on road courses?
Honestly, I did not. And there's a gentleman sitting right over here. He goes by Tony Merritt. And he's kind of my DeWalt guy, and we've built a heck of a relationship up. And you know, he'd been texting me through the weeks, and you know, he's like, man, we're not out, we're just gonna win, and you know, I didn't see it coming. Like, you know, the road courses all year long, we had not been strong, and normally they're good for me. Like last year with the Gen 6 car, I got my first road course win, competed for several more wins, but this year it just wasn't happening. And you know, but with that being said, you see races all the time where the fastest car doesn't win, and I did keep reminding myself that you know, we're not expecting to be a dominant car or a race-winning car, but as long as you're there at the end of the race, as long as you hang out, put yourself in position, you never know what's going to happen. And you know, it worked out where we were the first car on tires, and I was able to carve through them.
It did work itself out, but it sounded like, from what you said on TV and on the radio, that you thought your chances were actually better had the race stayed green instead of going down to the restart. How come? Yeah,
just because restarts are so hectic and crazy here at the ROVAL, and you know, we see so many pileups getting into turn 1 that I knew that I had a big advantage, regardless if it went green or there was a yellow and I was restarting on the front row. I knew that I had the advantage, but I felt like there were a lot more obstacles that were outside of my control that could take me out of it once the yellow flag flew. But fortunately, it was pretty calm, and the front row was able to get away, and I didn't have to worry about guys behind me putting me 3 wide. So it ended up being smooth sailing, but I did not expect that to be the case. I thought that, you know, we'd be 3 or 4 wide getting into turn 1.
All right, additional questions? Okay, Greg, and then we'll go to Lee.
But you woke up this morning knowing that, yeah, I want to win a race because that's how your mindset. But there had to be part of you that was just like, the sun will still come up tomorrow, and I'll still be racing. And when you crossed that line and knew you won, did like his stuff come back to you? I mean, that must have been pretty emotional.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy the amount of emotions that you go through, and really all race long, I was just kind of I don't know, I think the best I was 5th, and the worst I was 10th or 12th, and which was right in line with how I expected the weekend to go. And I just, there's another guy over there, his name's Chris Ball, and he tells me all the time that, you just have to be there at the end of these races. And we see it time and time again where the fastest car doesn't win. And today, we were not the fastest car, but we put ourselves in position. My crew chief made a great call to put tires on, and it worked out where we won the race. So we were there at the end.
All right, Lee.
Congratulations, Christopher. How much confidence have you gained this year, just, kind of getting that first year under your belt with Gibbs, and then, moving into this one where you and Adam could really build something?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that if last year we would have had practice and qualifying, we would have been able to perform just as well. Really my first 2 Cup seasons, not being able to qualify and showcase our speed that we have week in and week out had really hurt my stats and my performance as a driver. So, this year is the first year that I've had practice and qualifying and been able to showcase our speed and what we're capable of doing week in and week out. So, I mean, with that being said, I think practice has helped too, because it's helped Adam learn what I need in the car to be successful. So I think practice and qualifying goes hand in hand.
And can you just talk a little bit about your final restart and, getting by Kevin and, what that took?
Yeah, it was honestly fairly simple. Before the yellow came out that mixed everything up, I was really struggling. I'd been out there for 30-something laps on tires. Everyone else had been out there 30-something laps on tires, and it was super slick, and everyone was struggling. And Adam called me into the pits. So I got stickers, and I knew what everyone else that didn't have stickers, I knew what they were feeling and what they were fighting. So I knew I had a really big advantage. And then it was just going to be a matter of if I could make it through the field clean and not get wrecked and not get run off course, and it worked out. But yeah, I mean, the once I got into second, I felt really good about my shot, as long as I didn't screw it up myself. So yeah, I didn't want to see that last yellow and have to restart again, because I was afraid that I was going to get taken out.
All right, we're going to go to Kelly and then Steve.
KellyCrownRacer.com. First off, not wanting to see the yellow, I think, is surprising. You were that confident you could close the gap on Kevin at that point?
I really was. I knew how slick 30-lap tires felt like, and I had just passed 5 or 6 cars, and they could not get off the corners. Off of turn 8, off of both chicanes, they're just really slipping and sliding around, and I knew that I had a really big tire advantage, and I felt confident that I was going to get there. But yeah, I just didn't want to have to deal with a restart.
Adam said situations like this where you have to be up on the wheel, you enjoy that, and you were driving. You could tell you were driving the wheels off of it there at the end as you kept moving forward on those last few restarts. What were you thinking at that point? Were you having fun? Did you realize, okay, look, the task is simple, I have to win? What's going through your mind those final 2 restarts?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the task was simple. We knew that we had to win, but just try to put myself in good spots. And road course racing is so difficult, because you can get stalled out and get put in a bad spot and lose multiple positions. So I was trying to use what I learned throughout the beginning parts of the race, where people put me in bad spots and I lost multiple positions, and not let that happen to me. And yeah, I mean, having a tire advantage that big is it's a big deal.
Okay, additional questions at Steve, and then Trent.
Steve Conley, the podium finish. Christopher, you mentioned not wanting to get wrecked or any concerns on that final restart. Did you look up in your mirror and realize A.J. Allmendinger was right behind you?
That was my biggest concern. Yes, I absolutely did. And you know, AJ, he's a great road racer, but he has taken advantage of me. I can't even count how many times this year. And you know, he's just so aggressive in the braking zones. And you know, at Indianapolis Road Course, I think I restarted on the front row or second row, and you know, he dove bombed me and put me 3 wide, and that ruined my chance at winning that race. Not saying I was going to win it if he didn't do that, but it took my chance away. And you know, it's happened several times with him behind me because he's very good at executing the braking zones.
And going into this next round, Las Vegas, Homestead, obviously with a 1.5 mile program, feeling pretty strong with that. Adam said he feels pretty confident there. Martinsville would be the issue for you guys. How important is it to maybe get a win there in Las Vegas, and do you feel that potential with one of those first 2 races?
Yeah, for sure. I absolutely think we're capable of winning really all of them. And Martinsville, while I don't expect us to perform as strong as I would at Vegas or Homestead, I still think the opportunity to win is there, and certainly much higher possibility to win at Martinsville than the Charlotte Road Course. So, yeah, I mean, we'll just have to go there and execute, and you know, the points are really tight too. So I don't know if it's going to take a win. I guess it's dependent on how everyone else performs, but I certainly like our chances way more in the round of 8 than I did the round of 12.
All right, we're going to go to Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. The field of former Cup champions remaining has been whittled down even further after today. This is certainly seems like a different type of group that's advanced to the final 8. You're a month away. I mean, a month from now, you could be a Cup champion. What does that mean? And the idea of a month from now that we're talking to you after Phoenix, and you've got a bigger trophy next to you.
Yeah, I mean, we're still alive. That feels really good, and I wouldn't have guessed that, a week ago or even 5 hours ago. So, I mean, I like our chances, and all the rest of the races play out really good for us, and we just have to execute and dot our I's and cross our T's and see where the cards fall. So, it feels good. Feels really good.
What's it like to get to this point? Because it was a struggle early.
Yeah.
And I mean, you pit crew, performances, on-track stuff. Nobody would have picked this maybe the first 10 races of the season.
Yeah, it's from the first 10 races into the season, I knew that our performance and capability was there. But like you said, we had a lot of things working against us. And whenever we left, I want to say Atlanta, I don't remember what race Atlanta was in the season, but 3 or 4 races in, we were positioned last in the point standings. And, I think a lot of people had written me off as a driver and written the 20 car off as, that Christopher's going to get fired. I mean, I got that all the time, that I'm getting replaced. I'm the 20 cars, the revolving door. He's going to be out of here. So maybe I'll get to stick around a little bit longer now. But, I don't, with that being said, I don't think we're done. Like a 2-win season is not our end goal. And I think that we're certainly capable of more. And I want to be a household name in the Cup Series. And hopefully this is just the start.
Okay, our next question will go to Trent.
Hey, Chris, Trent with FrontStretch.com. Kyle Busch referred to your crew chief as the best in the garage. You're going into this more narrow list of drivers to potentially get to the Final Four. Having somebody like that on the box leading this team for you, what does that mean to you? And if you have to get in on points, because there could be three different winners and a fourth one getting on point. So this team right now, where you guys are out, how confident are you in that if that came down to that scenario?
Yeah, I mean, we'll know more after next week. It seems like that first race really sets the tone for how the points lay out and stuff like that. But, as far as Adam Stevens, he's definitely one of the best in the business. And a race car driver is only as good as, the car underneath of him. And, time and time again, Adam gives me the opportunity to showcase my talents, and just grateful to have him as a crew chief. And I can't stress that enough, that a driver is only as good as the race car that he's given, and Adam's the guy who's given me great cars.
All right. Any final questions? Okay, we're going to take one final question from Lee.
I noticed some bling on your fingers. Is that kind of like your first, I don't know, the most unique trophy that you or I don't know, side trophy, whatever?
So it's ironic that you asked this question, because I actually got a ring for winning the World Championship race in New Zealand in a midget car. So I got that. I'm pretty sure I got a USAC championship ring, and then the truck championship ring. So got a couple of them now. Hopefully I guess I can wear them to the banquet.
Larson, I mean, you and Briscoe have raced him probably more than anybody else in the field. Are you surprised that he's on the outside looking in after winning the championship last year?
I mean, after the way that this year has laid out, I'm not surprised, just because, who would have thought Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch would be two of the guys out in the round of 16. So, and then Truex not making the playoffs is mind-blowing too. So it's just been a really, really odd year. And, it's been an odd year, and definitely the 8 that are remaining are probably not the 8 top cars in the garage, but it's, who's left standing.
All right, Christopher, congrats again on the win, and we wish you the best of luck in the next round of the playoffs.